Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art of Leader, Captivating Leadership Narratives, all part of the stuff that growth is made of. I'm excited to be speaking today with Tatiana Gammichia this morning. Tatiana is a president at Central Park West Dentistry and a member of my Vista CEO Peer Advisory Group. Welcome, Tatiana. I'm so glad to see you.
Thank you, Margaret. I'm really happy to be here.
Yes, and you have had such an interesting leadership journey. I'm really excited for the listeners to have the opportunity to hear from you today.
Me too.
So, yeah, let's get into it. First, what I'd love for you to do is just share an overview of, Central Park Dentistry. Where is it located? What services do you offer? And a little bit about your history with them.
Yeah, so Central Park West Dentistry has been a part of the Upper West Side for decades. John F. Loda is the owner. We have one owner, and we're a multi-specialty practice that's grown thoughtfully over time. Our focus has always been like clinical experience paired with exceptional patient care. And we aim to feel modern, warm, and human, not clinical or transactional. And at our core, we're just a people business that happens to do dentistry, and that really, that belief shapes how I lead. So I am the president. I am also a licensed dental hygienist, and I've been with the practice since 2010. So almost, so about 15 and a half years.
Wow. Well, and so you guys also just recently moved to this new gorgeous
Oh,
space. Yeah.
we're open 7 days a week. We're only closed on Christmas and Thanksgiving, and if there's like a natural disaster. But if the trains are running, we're open, and our hours are like 8 to 8, Monday through Friday. So we're really available to the community.
I love that. And I just want to mention, I'll mention it to the listeners that it was so fun listening to one of our mutual friends who's also part
Oh
of
yeah.
our CEO peer advisory group talk about that his wife was so excited to hear that Tatiana's in our group because she loves this practice and they go there and it's been such a positive experience. So anyway, my two-second commercial for you guys. But going back to your leadership journey, would love to, for you to share a little bit more about. So you started with them in 2010. What was what were you doing before, and then how did your role evolve also at Central Park Dentistry?
So prior to dentistry, I worked for the Gillette Company, which sparked my interest in dentistry. I was the business management intern for the president of Oral-B. So after college, I was actually managing a jewelry store. So I had my first, well, during college, I was 20 years old. I got promoted to an assistant manager at 20 years old for a $2 million jewelry store. Don't ask me why, but I said yes. And that was the first experience I had at like management without any training whatsoever. But I always felt pulled to dentistry and helping others. I wasn't really into sales. So I ended up finding a job at a dental office as a dental assistant with Bicon Dental Implants. They also had a clinic, and there wasn't much room for growth for me there. So I ended up signing up for classes at NYU College of Dentistry. I'm like, I'm going to be a dental hygienist. I want to treat patients and help people. And I found Central Park West Dentistry. They were open on the weekends, so I was able to work and study. And I will say my journey into leadership at the practice was not a straight line. I was hired as a treatment plan coordinator. And I just started to like raise my hand for more responsibility before I felt even ready. And we were a small practice back then. We were one location, two operatories, two dentists. I think there were 10 of us total. Um, so basically, my curiosity, accountability, and willingness to learn in real time is what ultimately led me into my current role as president and the opportunity that Dr. Loda gave me.
And you
Um,
guys now have how many dent? I mean, it's
oh
a
my goodness.
significant.
We have about, I think, 50 people in total, anywhere from 10 to 12 dentists at a time, 10 to 12 hygienists, and then all of our administrators, virtual workers, finance team. So it's
It's
grown
grown a
from
lot.
10 to 50. Yeah.
What I love about your story, first of all, thank you for sharing that, is there's a few, I mean, so many great nuggets. One is taking the initiative, right? So here you were like, oh, okay, if you want to make me assistant manager, I'll figure that out. But going to school, um, saying, hey, I want to go to school, working on the weekends to get that experience. And then a big thing is raising your hands.
Yeah.
When someone, Dr. Lahota was really your mentor and sponsor, but you were such a great mentee because you are showing him, hey, I'm raising my hand for things. I'm doing a really good job. And those are such great, important lessons that do help you move up and help you to continue to learn as well.
Yeah, we were always in alignment. I worked at a big dental practice in Boston. I think we had 20 operatories. So I came from a big space. And as soon as he said he wanted to grow the business, I was all in and I'm never leaving. I'm going to retire there. And it's just been such an amazing opportunity and journey.
Yeah, well, and he's lucky to have you. So, well, good. Well, thanks for sharing that. So, if you were to go back in time and you look back at that 20-year-old that was working at the jewelry store, what advice would you give your younger self?
I think in general, this is a great question, by the way. You don't need to prove your value by doing everything yourself. I think delegation isn't a weakness, it's actually leadership. So for a long time, I thought that being indispensable meant being effective. And I would just take everything on and, I was reliable and I did more work than others. But what I didn't realize was that it actually limited growth for me and for others. Um, Discomfort doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're growing. So those are a couple things that I would tell my younger self.
I love that. I love that. And it's something we probably every day have to remind ourselves is, okay, do I need to be doing this or is there somebody I could delegate it to, right? I mean,
Oh,
there's always that check, maybe at a different level and at a little different circumstances, but I think those are great lessons. So when you think about your early leadership,
yeah.
even at the dental office, what were some of the challenges you faced? Or even as your role has changed more recently, what are some of the challenges you face and how did you or are you overcoming them?
I think the biggest challenge right now in this current practice is scaling without losing our office culture. Growth is exciting, but it can strain systems and people if you're not intentional. Um, I think the opportunity that we have right now is like building leadership within the team. So we have a leadership team, but we're growing and it's not really supporting our structure right now. So I think developing future leaders means that the organization can become resilient and not dependent on just like a few people. And I think that's real sustainability. So definitely, I would say reiterate growth, scaling without losing that office culture and just being there for the team and motivating them.
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting. And even you talked about it when you were talking early on, just when you were describing, about Central Park Dentistry, core values is really important to you
Oh
guys,
yes.
and that client or patient experience.
Mhm.
And so I love that, again, it is this balance for all companies. How do you grow, but make sure you are continuing to live the core values and
Mhm.
allowing or making sure that patient experience um, doesn't uh, change just because you're growing.
Yeah.
So it's a real balance and a very thoughtful response. Thank you for that. Um, and, as you continue to evolve in your own leadership role, how would you say you measure success as a leader? When you think about, hey, did I have a good day? Did I have a good year? We just talked about before we got on this a little bit about, some reflections you've been doing, which I love to do, end of the year, new year, what does the future hold? But from your perspective, Tatiana, how do you measure success as this leader of such a big practice?
So I typically measure success through retention, engagement, and alignment. So if people are growing, staying, and proud of where they work, and our patients feel that energy, to me, that's success. Um, Financial performance, it definitely matters, but it's a lagging indicator of healthy leadership. It's not the goal itself. And I learned that from Dr. Loda. So we're definitely in alignment there. And I think that culture shows up on the balance sheet eventually. And whether you're paying attention to it or not. And one of our core values is celebrating. I did take some time to reflect, but celebrate all of our wins. And we still have some challenges to overcome. We struggled with retention as an industry over the last 5 years with COVID in 2020. We're starting to turn things around. So definitely retention, engagement, and alignment, and making sure that the people we hire are in alignment with our vision and our philosophies and core values.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. And I know we last month in our own meeting had a discussion on dashboards, leading and lagging. And it's such an important point. I just want to mention again that the financial component is lagging, and it's all those other things you're doing. And how do measure that? So then the lagging indicator is going to be where you want it to be. So,
We did have a fun day last week at the office. I had everybody make vision boards, and I really got to learn a lot about the team. And I was trying to connect their vision with our vision and how can CPW support them and what matters to them. So that was a really great activity to do with the
I
team.
love that. I love that. Um, yeah, and I'd love to see that, because maybe something we could do in one of our meetings as well.
I have
So
lots of supplies left over.
the what?
I said I have lots of supplies left over.
Okay, good. Well, we did that fun event in December, which was such
Yeah,
a
that
highlight
was
in
fun.
terms of the Secret Santa, or a version of the Secret Santa,
Yeah.
your favorite thing. So that was fun. You talk about Dr. Loda, which I know he's been a wonderful mentor and sponsor. And I'm sure you've had others
Oh,
throughout your journey. I'd love for you to share, what is the role that those mentors and sponsors have had on your career, and any advice you could give the listeners about this topic, whether it's the importance of it, how do you develop the mentors and sponsors, anything you could share that would be helpful.
yeah, so I think mentors and sponsors have been critical in my success. I think mentors have helped me think differently, and sponsors really advocated for me when I wasn't in the room. I've always had great relationships with um, my who like my bosses and things like that, and just always having someone advocate for me. Because sometimes as much as I raise my hand for things, sometimes my sponsors would see something in me that I didn't, which was always, I was always grateful for that. About a year ago, I made the very intentional decision to join Vistage. So I think that's been great. I have so many mentors in that room. I think there's 20 of us,
Mhm.
and you've been amazing. Um,
Okay.
but I think being part of a peer group, advisory group with leaders from different industries, I think that's been incredibly grounding for me. Leadership can oftentimes feel lonely, but it forced me out of my echo chamber. I think I realized quickly that while our businesses may be different, the leadership challenges are similar: people, decisions, accountability, and growth. So I've made a lot of friends and I have a lot of new mentors, which I'm super excited about. And my advice would be seek both. I think ask good questions, be coachable. Remember, it's a two-way street. I think you have to show up prepared and grateful for the information and the time that people are willing to spend with you. So everybody is busy.
Yeah, great and very thoughtful advice. And thank you for, first of all, you are an important voice at the table in our group. And it is true. I think of our peer advisory group as it's your own personal board of directors, because
Mhm.
there's no competition in there, and it's not group think, because even when you and I talk, I'm learning about the dental practice and all of that, but I have other different perspectives on business and growth and stuff, and all of those are pretty similar. You have relationships with people in the dental, area, so it's really how do you learn some of the best practices? Yeah, so well, thank
I
you
was
for
thinking
sharing.
about going back to school and getting a business degree. And then I just had this epiphany. I'm like, I'm going to learn from other people because I've kind of just like, I've been self taught my whole life. If I wanted to learn something, I was resourceful about it. So it's been really an incredible part of my growth this year. So I just want to say thank you.
Oh, and thank you. Yay. So, shifting topics a little bit, you know, and I know you are so busy and you've got so much going on and you still have time to, make time for learning and growing and things like that. What are you listening to or reading right now to stay sharp? Um,
I'm an elder millennial. I'm big on Instagram. I try to stay sharp by following voices that challenge how I think, not just what I do. So I consume a lot of content around like mindset, emotional regulation, and self awareness. I do listen to some podcasts, dental podcasts such as TTIW Production. But some of my favorite accounts are Brene Brown, Jim Curtis. For me, it's like it's the internal work, like how you regulate, decide, and show up. I think that directly impacts how effective I am as a leader. So I spend most of my time just on Instagram listening to little snippets. Once I have my directors back from maternity leave, I do plan on reading more and listening to more podcasts. But I've read a ton of books in the last 15 years. So I am taking a little break right now, but Instagram is great. TikTok, I'm not big on TikTok, but they have some really great accounts. And you can learn a lot in like 1 to 5,
Yeah,
one to
well, of
5 minutes.
course, and that's the trend, right? It's
Yeah.
the shorter snippets of information.
Yep.
That's why I knew you'd be much better answering a question like that because, there's, I'm sure, lots in the different formats in
Oh,
terms of getting it. So, what did you say? Calibrate, recalibrate? What were those three things you mentioned?
three things. So
Calibrate, uh,
the I don't know. I didn't say calibrate. The
that's okay, or regulate. Maybe it's regulate. I will get it. I'm going to look at the notes. It's a good thing to remember.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
said
yeah.
I consume content around mindset, emotional regulation, and self awareness.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. So, first of all, thank you for your time, and it's always fun to listen to you and get your perspective. I mean, you're such a self-starter and have so much energy and want to continue to, focus on continuous improvement, whether for yourself or for the people around you, the business, all of that. It's a beautiful thing. What would you say are the critical success factors or secret sauce to being an effective leader today?
I think it would be emotional intelligence, clarity, and consistency. Um, I think people don't need perfection, which I'm learning the hard way. I like to be perfect, but I'm kind of letting that go this year. They need presence. They need someone to lead with empathy and communicate clearly to them. Um, and I think just, when trust is high, everything else becomes easier.
Mm.
And follow through. Follow through is important. I think that's another one that I forgot to mention.
Love that. The trust thing, I'm a big believer in that. Well, wow. So many nuggets of great information. Thank you so much, Tatiana, for your time, for sharing your
Absolutely.
thoughtful insights around the art of leading.
Thank you.
And thank you all for listening. This is the stuff that growth is made of.